for joining us. Tonight is October 10, 2024 Town Board Work Session. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Hope everyone's doing well. Nice weather right now. Please enjoy it. Get outside if you can. So tonight's our workshop. Have a few discussions. First thing on our agenda is our master plan, the update from our master plan committee. And as you know, we've been discussing many times. We're in the midst of our master plan. Long process, expensive process. Big thank you actually to our Councilwoman Flores. She's the liaison, and I know it's been a lot of work, and
Fun.
The rest of the town board is very thankful.
Yes.
That you're doing it. But joking aside, we have a really great team that we put together for our master plan, and our residents who are volunteering their time, tremendous people who are really giving a lot to our community, and you really have our thanks, because it is a lot of work, and we really owe you a debt of gratitude. So thank you all. So tonight with us we have, of course, our East Fishkill planner, Michelle Robbins, and our comprehensive plan coordinator, Rosemarie Boyle-Lasher. We have our consultants for our comprehensive plan, Saratoga Associates, Don Minery and Emily Gardner. We have our chair of our comprehensive plan committee, Mr. John Eichman, and comprehensive plan committee members Felicia Walker and Delbert Lee. Thank you all for coming tonight for this update to the town board. And you know what, why don't we get into some discussion? Why don't we have Emily do our update, and then we'll get into a little discussion afterwards. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay, excellent.
Everybody hears me okay? I'm not very loud, so good, okay. So tonight we'll be giving an update. I was last here with the initial update in April, and there's been a lot of work ongoing since. So just give a quick overview of everything that this committee has been helping us develop. Just as a reminder, our outline of the plan has the introduction, and then it's got topic by topic chapters. We have decided as a committee in discussion and talking with staff to add an implementation chapter at the end. We thought that would be a great way to make sure that this isn't a plan that just sits on the shelf, and it gives you a quick reference to monitor your progress, and you can check things off the list as you go. A reminder of the vision statement here, and the tagline for this plan in the community is the junction of community, commerce, and country, and that really informed the logo that was developed for this, which has been so popular amongst the committee members. I think it's a great way of capturing all the different facets that make the town what it is. So this was the timeline of where I left off last time. Topic by topic monthly discussions that this committee has been having since I first met with them in October of 2023. So here we are a year later. We had left off in April discussing housing and traffic and economic development, and we picked up with a full series of meetings since then. These ones actually, we started doubling up on topics in some of our meetings. We had a great discussion about agriculture. We had a working group charrette amongst ourselves because we realized we were learning a lot of information, and sometimes our meetings just weren't long enough to talk through it all. So we had a great internal charrette just to discuss some of those topics further. We moved on into June, talking about community services. June was very busy, also included outreach to the seniors, a tour of farms, thank you, Delbert, a discussion with artists and young professionals. It was great to capture some feedback from them. And then a work session internally, because we realized that's a lot more information, a lot of great topics to digest. And as we moved into August, talking about recreation, really the heart of East Fishkill, that and agriculture seem to be really driving forces for the community. Then we had Tom as a guest talking to us about assessment phase-in agreements and how they can be utilized, and learning about taxing in the community, which I think was really informative. And the end of August was the second public meeting, that open house style discussion. Again, over 60 people at that meeting. Great to get that volume of attendance later in a process, showing us that people are still really engaged. And then come September, a tour of the hamlets, which I think was really informative for people to just get out there and see what are these places we keep talking about if it's not someplace you drive every day. And we had a wonderful presentation from Duchess Tourism. I think that's going to be a really great piece for economic development in the community moving forward. And then some information shared at Community Day. So that brings us up to where we are this evening. Our next scheduled committee meeting is next week, right here. But the work doesn't totally end there for the process. So once the plan becomes finalized, we get that executive summary completed, we have that implementation chapter completed, and we're comfortable that this is the complete draft. It will then be coming back to you all to review, and there'll be some additional review by the county as the document then begins the seeker and adoption process. So that'll involve some additional public hearing opportunities. The feedback doesn't end here. Just to recap all the engagement that's happened over this time period, it's just, from my perspective, it's a unique community that I've worked with. I think it's much more engagement than we might typically see. It's not just 3 public meetings that might be required. There's been opportunities throughout. The website is continually updated with all of the materials and anything we find that might be relevant to people that's there. And we have the email address that's set up. We haven't had a lot of activity, but a few messages have come in, and that'll still stay open through the seeker process. Just a little recap of our more recent public open house. That was held at the end of August. Great participation there. A lot of nice casual discussion among people. I think it helps them feel they can share their ideas without that traditional format of me just standing up at the front of the room talking at people. I'd like to talk with them instead. We had a lot of different comments, but common themes throughout. So focusing on agriculture, preserving farmland, a lot of desire for an indoor recreation facility, which I don't think is a surprise to anyone. Discussion of the proposed residential developments, what might be happening there, people just looking for more information about those. Discussion of housing overall, maybe some smaller units, maybe smaller lots, enabling people who might be new graduates or downsizing seniors an option that requires a little less maintenance. Definitely an interest in keeping open space, incorporating some smaller scale retail, economic development that builds off of the rail trail presence, interest in maybe office park, something like that happening. And then a lot of discussion about transportation, walkability, safety. When we had the senior outreach discussion, it was kind of surprising to see how many seniors actually walked to the community center. And then throughout, there's an overall sense of place. What is East Fishkill? What is the identity? Making sure all of the hamlets feel like they are part of the town of East Fishkill. And making sure that we don't forget about the community's history as we try to create these more vibrant spaces. Just again, touting your success here, engagement by the numbers. Throughout this process, there's been really great feedback that has informed the plan that we have developed as a group. 18 interview participants, committee members who have been part of this for a year, doing tours and open houses, over 2,000 survey responses, guest speakers throughout the whole process at these monthly meetings, lots of people coming to the open houses, and then the additional focus groups. So it's really given us a lot to work with and made our jobs much more easy. So just to highlight some of the goals chapter by chapter that have come out of this process, there's really a focus on preserving and honoring the heritage of the community, making sure that these historic places are protected in some way, acknowledged, while also balancing that with trying to have a sense of community, the character of the community that's small town but still has a vibrant scene. You have activities going on, you've got that recreation, and you're preserving that open space, incorporating art, making it really a great place to live, and making sure that there's some street life around. For economic development, again, it's that branding, it's that sense of what is East Fishkill? Can we create gateway signage as you come into the community to let people know that you are here? Building off of the rail trail, it's a really great asset that can then inspire economic development, getting people walking from the trails into the downtown, into the hamlets. And then supporting those hamlet centers with commercial corridors. And then in those areas, maybe mixing some of the uses, types of development, residential with commercial as well, to make sure that there are people there populating those spaces and bringing that activity, that life. And then really great conversations about how can we work with some of these large employers and the educational institutions locally to make sure that you are providing that qualified workforce that they're looking for. Housing, of course. What we really landed on here through many discussions about housing, it really seems to come up as a means of economic development. Where do these employees live? But as well as, what are the options for the people who are already living here? And making sure that there are options for people at any stage in life. Whether they're a new graduate, whether they're downsizing, whether they have a large family, making sure there are options for everyone, whether it's renter, ownership, a mix of everything, just making sure there are really diverse choices. And then with that housing, where do you locate it? So thinking about some strategic growth areas that make the most sense for that, keeping things walkable when possible, and encouraging design that is in scale with the character of the community. We don't want a drastic shift in what makes East Fishkill, and preserving that open space at the same time. And speaking of open space, guiding development in a way that helps you preserve that, and keeping in mind all of the natural resources and the assets, the water quality, drinking water, storm water, important soils for farmland and agriculture. Out of those discussions was the idea to revisit the past draft open space plan, update that, and get an open space plan completed. Thinking about maybe zoning for agriculture and open space, finding ways, can this be integrated, some of these ideas, into new developments in the future? How can we incorporate and continue to support the agriculture education in the schools? And then how can we help farmers keep their farms from generation to generation so those beautiful spaces aren't lost? Community services. This was quite the discussion, everything from town hall to the library, fire, EMS, police, everybody was involved in that conversation. And we also talked to recreation at the same time, so this was quite the topic of discussion. But it's really getting people informed, maybe updating the website, keeping people engaged, looking at site plan approval processes, finding ways for seniors particularly to be able to age in place comfortably and safely, making sure public safety is a priority. There are plans to respond to natural disasters, to weather events, to emergencies, and thinking about where we're standing today, possibly developing a master plan for a future municipal campus that can bring services together, right-size the spaces that the different departments need. And how do we do all of this? We think about creating a capital improvement program to prioritize, budget, strategize moving forward. And then you've got plenty of recreational assets now and some more things that are desired, so developing a master plan and a way to connect those facilities. And infrastructure. So, of course, we need to make sure people have water and sewer and power and support the growth appropriately. But we need to balance that with the natural environment and where things are located. So encouraging development to be located in areas where either services are already available or it's feasible to extend them. So that comes back to those target areas for potential growth. Some of those commercial corridors, the hamlet areas, thinking about those types of places. And with the interest in renewable energy, energy efficiency, the different aspects of sustainability, the water management, keeping the water clean, including stormwater, and making sure that the community is resilient. And then to tie all of that together is transportation. In the junction, the corridors are really part of what makes the community such an attractive place for economic development. And then the walkability and the safety really bring the vibrancy to the hamlets. So how can we make sure that pedestrians and cyclists have an easy way to get from destinations to trails? Can we make sure that intersections are safe? Should more roundabouts be included? Can traffic be calmed a bit so pedestrians feel a bit safer? Do we have parking in the right places? Can we increase access to public transportation? And there are additional options that can be explored on the regional level. You have got 84 and the Taconic and great connectivity here. But how can we make sure that that traffic is safe? And if there's more built, keeping in mind the maintenance of what you've got already and planning for the future. So that's a quick overview of all of the goals that have been developed in the plan. And you might notice Delber's got a copy in front of him. It's currently about, it's approaching an inch thick there. Maybe it's 3/4.
Yeah.
But it's really been a lot of great feedback, a lot of hard work by the committee over the past year. But after this, we'll still be working on it a bit more over the next couple of months, getting that executive summary developed, the implementation strategy developed, and bringing it back to you all for review. The planning board will also chime in, the county planning board will chime in. It will go through the seeker process. I'll be back to discuss it again at that time. And there will also be opportunities for the public during the public hearing process associated with seeker. And then, that's the completion of the comprehensive plan is step one. Followed by taking a look at the zoning to make sure that the zoning supports the comprehensive plan, making some updates, adopting those, and then hopefully all of the future development will help you to get this plan implemented, get these ideas part of reality for the future. So that is the quick update. If anybody has any questions, happy to talk about anything. Again, it's really been a learning process for me to learn about the community and your goals. It's been a great experience working with the committee and folks who have been so engaged in the process throughout.
Excellent, thank you, Emily. And it really is wonderful to see all the work done in such a short period of time. I know our last master plan that was completed 24 years ago, something like that, was, it took, I think, 5+ years to even implement.
Yeah.
Right, so this is a huge, huge endeavor that was done very, very well. So we're close to the end of your goals, the comprehensive plan committee, and like I said, I thank you so much. Town board comments, questions?
If I may, you're right, Mr. Supervisor. This has been a whirlwind year and a tremendous amount of work that's been done to get to this point, and still more to be done, but it couldn't be done without this fabulous, fabulous committee that we've had in place. And Emily mentioned about how much she has learned about the town. I think every one of us on the committee has learned so much from each other. It's not any one person's view reflected or group reflected in this draft. It's the committee, and we discuss and we debate and we make sure we're considering all the input that we're getting from the community. And the committee has worked tirelessly, and when I say that they have done anything we've asked and more, monthly meetings when they think they don't understand enough, let's do a tour, let's drive around on the weekend and visit these areas. It's just been a full commitment, and my thanks go out to everyone that's been on the committee, our consultants, our town team that's been working on it. It's just been a wonderful experience, and a lot of work has gone into it, and hopefully it will reflect what the town wants to see over the next 10, 15 years. The one thing that I think we've heard in all of our community outreach is the need to do things in a balanced way. Keep, things balanced. We want to see growth, but we want to retain what makes East Fishkill so special, the special place to live. So we've got a lot more work to do, but it's been quite the experience so far.
That's great, great.
Thank you, Councilwoman, for all the work that you've done with this. This has been tremendous, like the supervisor said. We are very happy that you took this on, this endeavor. And thank you to our professionals and certainly the volunteers. This is tremendous. The amount of work that you've done in really a short amount of time is fairly extraordinary. And I just want to ask, just out of curiosity, what topic did you find to be the most difficult or the most challenging?
Tom, why are you looking at me?
Any of you? Any of you? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I think, if I can speak.
Sure, go ahead, please, any of you.
I think that the challenge, it's been each one of us, as Mary was saying, brings something to the table. So I think for me, there hasn't been any one particular, my background is agriculture, farming, land, right? But in the process of speaking to everyone in the group and understanding where they've come from, what they have seen and experienced, that enlightens me more about what I could do to make it better for agriculture here, what their concerns are and what my concerns are. And with everyone listening together, pulling together, is really going to make it work in all aspects of this plan. Because without it, without our commitment to the cooperation with each other and, in the civil way we do it, it's never going to happen. So I'm really proud of working with everyone here.
Great.
I'd have
Thank
to
you.
second that.
Now, what are you going to do with all your spare time when all this is done?
Please get us for another committee.
You want another committee? You want another committee?
We can come up with something, don't worry. But thank you.
Dell, I think, touched on that, and if you're trying to single out one area is difficult because it's all interconnected. And if we don't look at it holistically, I think we would be dropping the ball. And I thought I knew where I lived, and I felt like I was visiting for the first time. It has been an incredible education on my part to learn what and how fantastic the town of East Fishkill is. And it's my pleasure to have served on a committee with some really incredible people. The committee is fantastic. But as I said, I couldn't single any one item out or one area, because every time I'm looking at it, I'm seeing that, if we don't, housing is connected to economic development, is connected to, like the knee bone is connected to the elbow, and it's all interconnected. And looking at it holistically, I think, is the way that we need to go. And
That's wonderful.
I want to say thank you for having the faith in asking me to serve. I feel honored.
Oh, it's
Well, you guys put your stamp on the history of East Fishkill, so we appreciate that.
sure.
I want to second Felicia's comments. I agree. I think all of it is challenging in a lot of ways, and it's all interconnected. But I, too, think that having worked with some of the fantastic members of the committee, but also being able to hear from all of the experts that we heard from in the various presentations was really an extraordinary opportunity for all of us. And I think the most important part of this is going to be the activation phase, to make certain that the things that are finally approved as far as the goals that we have for the next 10 years or so are things that are actually implemented, and hopefully a number of the members of the committee will be able to continue to work on some of those things to make sure they happen.
Yeah, very important. The second phase is important, just as the first, and more difficult for us. We will be in the frying pan then, but that's okay. And we have the backing of all the committee's work and a tremendous document that is going to, like you said, lead us at the next 10, 15 years, so. Wonderful. Counselor?
Yeah, again, to reiterate, I want to thank everybody for participating in the process. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion through the years since I've been on the board that we always needed to update this document, and for various reasons, we always kind of postponed it. But I'm happy to see that we actually have developed something, and the great thing about it is that you people, the community, actually decides what the future of the planning for the East Fishkill is going to be. And it's going to be a great document because when people come in front of the planning board to apply for whatever, it's going to give them an idea of where East Fishkill wants to go, and it's going to make it easier for all the professionals to really navigate into the future. This is something that took a lot of effort on your part, and I want to thank everybody, each and every one of you, for your great effort. Many people didn't understand what this was all about. People were stopping us in the community and asking, what is this comprehensive plan? What does it mean? So our mission was to kind of explain, educate the community members, but there's going to be an education process going from now until we actually implement the document, and really a great effort. You guys did an amazing job. I want to thank each and every one of you. And we're going to take everything into consideration. I mean, the town board is going to look at the document. There might be some tweets still. We're still going to have some public hearings. There's going to be additional, possibly minor changes, but
Yep.
I think it's going to be a great document at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. So any recommendations for, or anything really to say to the community about how you feel this whole process went, besides the field trips and whatnot? That was all a wonderful thing, as everybody has told me, but is that one of the highlights when you went to visit different areas of the town? Because there's certain areas of the town that we live here for 20, 30 years we don't even see.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially a wonderful asset to have is Delbert Lee.
Yes,
One
yes.
of our farmers in our community. And I thank you again, sir, for serving on that committee, and how important that we were such a rural community with farming years ago, and we continue that identity. We want to continue that identity.
Well, thank you for asking me to be on the committee. To me, it's quite an honor, too, because, and sitting where I've sat for many years and being eighth generation here, it means a lot that I can give something back to, which we've always tried to do as a family here. And that's what I think that we've all become in this town, doing things like this, because as Felicia mentioned too, it's all, when you were asking about what part would be the best, or most enlightening thing, I think it's all together. I mean, because if each part doesn't come together, then we can't put it together at all. I mean, we're missing something then, so we got to always come together with a good conversation, constructive criticisms, and put it together with a real, accent on community and being together. So.
And how'd our professionals do?
Very well.
Kept everybody on track? Kept everybody on course?
I'd be lost without, honestly, listening to all the other members here, and what they bring to this table too. I mean, everyone has something to offer.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Saratoga
And if we don't listen, then we don't learn. So.
And our planner, of course, we're very fortunate to have an
Yes.
in-house planner. And probably, and thank you, Michelle, always for your day in and day out, all your work. But especially this is very important to the longevity of our town. I have to point out our comprehensive plan coordinator, Rosemary. She really keeps everybody on track.
Yes.
And I appreciate when I get an update for her, she keeps everybody going and gets me out of the meeting as fast as I can, that's for sure.
I have never seen anyone manage time in a meeting better than Rosemary, and that's how she's conducted everything we've done and kept us on schedule, as well as our chairman of our committee, John Eichman. He keeps us on track when we have our monthly meetings, and we couldn't do it without those two to keep us moving.
And this will help our planning board too, correct, Chairman?
Indeed. Indeed. You know, the other thing I want to kind of add is or re-emphasize is some of the numbers that Emily gave us as far as the engagement of the community. We've really had great engagement. It's amazing how many people took the survey, how many people have attended our public meetings, how many people are really interested in all of this. And so I think that's a great testament too to the town.
Like Felicia said, we have a tremendous community, and it's, we're blessed.
Yes, I also think a big thank you goes to Don and Emily. I mean, this is a tremendous
You're
amount of...
welcome.
Well, Emily, not so much Don.
And Don, you know, it's really very, very impressive. I mean, you know, reading what you've put all together from all the information that we have compiled, or listening to all our back and forth on the committee.
I really do feel like it's been it's a team effort on this
Yes.
plan in particular.
great
You know,
work.
it's it's not me sitting in the background typing up stuff I think is going to work here. It's getting ideas from the community, from the committee, and making sure that,
Yes, but you have to put all these notes together,
yeah, that is true.
so, both of you.
It's become quite the document.
Emily makes sense of, we're amazed sometimes at how she takes all the dialogue and discussion and the back and forth and comes out with this document, you know, and it's like, oh, yeah, we did that.
Well, thank
But, you know, one of the things, you know, the community engagement is so important, and I want to reassure the community how much time we spend focusing on what we hear in the surveys, what we hear in the various outreach meetings. We really take that into consideration. So I don't want people to think that we're not listening. That's a key piece of our discussions. And one of the things that really thrilled me was on Community Day, I had a high school student come up and spend about 15, 20 minutes with me talking about the master plan and his ideas for how to make the town more walkable. And so it just shows the level of engagement throughout the community at all ages, so.
Yes.
Excellent.
I think-
And, you know, the synergies of our committee members, right, with the professionals, so important.
Yeah.
I mean, and for the other committee members who aren't here, the diversity we have on this committee, the level of education, business owners. I mean, we even have one of our committee members is a former commissioner of planning for Westchester County. I mean, how fortunate are we to have such skilled people on our committee? So thank you to all of you.
Yep, thank you.
So, all right, well, we will be hearing more, that's for sure.
Of
So
course.
thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
You're welcome.
Can't wait to hear, can't wait to get our hands on the document to dive into it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a lot of work. Tremendous amount of work. Okay, well, next on our agenda is our workshop discussion about our 2025 budget. Tonight, we have our Deputy Controller with us, Danielle Carney. Thank you for coming tonight to give us a presentation. Before we get to the presentation, I'd just like to make a few comments on the budget. Thank you, of course, to our comptroller, our Deputy Comptroller, for all their assistance to me on this budget. Thank you to all the department heads as well for their participation. I am extremely happy with this budget. I was dreading it because of how high inflation has been the last few years, the interest rates, the potential of lower revenues that the town realizes, but the town is truly in excellent fiscal shape. We've created a very well-balanced budget that's very economical for our residents, and this is the most important duty that we do on the town board. Myself as supervisor and the council here here. This is our most important job, is to produce the budget and to make sure that we make it affordable for our residents. And sometimes it's harder to do than others. This year was a little tougher to do than last year, but we got it done, and I was proud to give it to the town board several weeks ago at our last meeting. They have been working and asking questions with me, with the comptroller, and we do have our budget public hearing in 2 weeks at our town board meeting. And I'm just very proud that this town board takes such seriousness in our job as the fiscal guardians of our finances for our residents. So thank you to the board members. This year we have a total proposed budget for 2025, including special districts, of a little more than $32 million. East Fishkill, we have never broken the New York State mandated tax cap, and I'm happy to say that includes this budget as well. Even with 40-year record high inflation, 20-year record high interest rates, we are able not to exceed the tax cap. All municipalities, like East Fishkill, we feel the pain just like you homeowners do at home. We have to pay more for everything just like you do. Fuel, insurance, equipment, interest rates, vehicles, whatever it is, we have to pay more just like you, just on a larger scale. And how do we are able to absorb those increases? Well, we have to tighten our belt buckle for the town just like you do at home. This budget, we're looking to increase the levy on a typical home with about a 2.6% increase, which relates to about $28 for the average home, or what I like to say in my former life is less than a slice of pizza a month. It's roughly a little more than $2.50 a month increase on the average home. And keep in mind that the actual levy increase is about 3.3%, but with the new growth in our town, that's all the new construction, our current taxpayer will only pay a 2.4% increase. The rest is paid by the new construction, like I said. Also, keep in mind that this does not include all the new industrial development that is to come on our tax rolls, meaning the Frito-Lay and the new warehouse going to be opening soon, Stellantis. This will be even more revenue for our town and for the county and for the school district. The only one that is currently paying of those new businesses is Amazon. This is the first year, 2024, for the pilot, which is the payment in lieu of taxes. And the total amount of taxes paid by Amazon for the first year, which is their largest discount, I should say, of their assessment reduction that they get. Their total tax bill is $316,111. Most of that, of course, goes to the school district, just like most of all of our tax bills that we pay at home. Also keep in mind that their pilot is not calculated in for special districts like water, sewer, library, fire district. Those, they pay full board, full assessment on it. Now, I like to say this about pilots. Like I said, pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes, but what it really is, it's an assessment reduction agreement. They get a reduction in their assessment, and it builds up, with year one being the most, and it builds up, goes down to zero over time. So I get a little disgruntled when I hear residents say that, oh, they don't pay any taxes. That's not true. They pay a lot of taxes. And this is very significant for our community because these taxes that they pay offset increases for the rest of our residents. Because some people say, oh, this will never reduce our tax bill. It might not reduce your tax bill, but it will reduce it increasing higher than we increase it. So, like I said, we only have a 2.4% increase this year. If we didn't have the additional revenue, it could be higher. So please keep that in mind. Pilots are a good thing. It gives us a calculated amount what they're paying. They pay a tremendous amount of taxes, especially to our school district. Not one school child goes to school from these companies because they're industrial. So there's no burden on the school district. There's only benefit, and a huge amount of taxes going to the school district, which helps us all. Like we always say, the school district, the school taxes are our highest tax bill. It is very tough on many homeowners, the school district, but please, we are trying to help that. With these new companies coming in, paying taxes into our community, that helps the school district ease the burden on the residents as well. So all these large taxpayers, Amazon, Frito-Lay, Stellantis, keep in mind that they are helping our community. Yes, it's sometimes some people don't like to see certain companies come in. We don't have a say on who those companies are sometimes, but just keep in mind that they do pay a tremendous amount of taxes, and it does help our budgets, and it helps the school budget and the county budget as well. We will be utilizing some fund balance for this 2025 budget, a little bit more than $350,000. Our fund balance is pretty much as high as it can go based upon the New York State Comptroller's Office, their opinion on what fund balances should be for municipalities based upon our budgets. So we really can't put any more into our fund balance. But we do believe that we will have a surplus in this 2024 budget, probably roughly $300,000 to $400,000. So anything that we're using will be put back from a surplus. We won't know what that surplus is till the end of the first quarter of 2025, which I will let the town board know what that is. Our fund balance right now, we have a little bit more than $13 million in combined fund balances, and that includes $2 million that we transferred into a capital reserve fund for paving, but it does not include the $500,000 that we allocated for our Veterans Memorial Park, which is very exciting, which is going to start next year. We have started clearing the lot, as people have seen. But being able to have a nice fund balance means that we can fund some of these projects, means that we can use it towards some of our budgets when we get into a little tight situation, when increases to costs for us. One of our increase to costs was this year coming for 2025 was pension benefits, the amount we pay for pension benefits. And, you know, we never know. New York State sends us the bill, and we have to pay the bill. That's how it works. So we never know how much that increases. You know, some years they try to stay level, but it all depends on markets. It depends on a lot of things. But with all those increases, we still are able to remain under the tax cap. Our New York State fiscal stress score has gone down even lower. Several years ago, we were as high as 9.6, which was still very low. That didn't mean we were on any fiscal stress list or anything like that. But our score now is 0. We can't get any lower. We have 0 fiscal stress in our town, and I appreciate all the hard work that all our employees do to keep the town running so efficiently. We will have no reduction of services for 2025. We're maintaining our paving and draining lines with almost $1 million, and us, the town board, we understand this is needed as much as possible. That's why we did come up with a capital reserve fund for paving. Councilman Marinaro pushed that a couple years ago, and we've been utilizing that as we see benefits. Sometimes when we have an opportunity to expand some of our paving additionally over our budget, we utilize that. We did that this year. So it's helpful when we do have an opportunity to do that. What else? We have townwide debt. We have very impressive low townwide debt. It's about $4.6 million, which includes two $2 million bonds from the Highway Department. So really, we only have about $600,000 in townwide debt, not counting special districts, water and sewers. That stays in those districts. That doesn't affect every homeowner in the town, only the ones that live in those water or sewer districts. But townwide, Basically, besides the highway bonds, we only have $600,000 worth of townwide debt. And for almost a $25 million budget without the special districts, a little more than $25 million, so significantly low. We try to basically, we pay for things as we go. Cash, we can pay cash for all the items that we want to do. So it's wonderful to see that. Thank you again to the comptroller for his help with this. And before I get the town board to make any comments, why don't we have our deputy comptroller go through the presentation.
Sure, thank you. So I'm Danielle Carney. I'm the Deputy Comptroller here at the town of East Fishkill, and I've pulled together just a few slides that give a very high-level overview of the budget and summarize some key points. So here we have historical fund balance. This chart shows how the town's fund balance has been trending since 2010. As Nick said, the town has been able to build up a strong fund balance since that low point that you see in 2014, which is great to see, to have that buffer there. If you look at the last bar on the chart, you can see the year-end results from 2023. The blue piece represents the general fund balance. The red piece that you see there represents fund balance from the highway fund. And then the yellow piece at the top represents funds that have been set aside for paving by the town. So in total, as Mr. Supervisor said, we have about $13 million in funds and reserves that you see here.
And that's nice to mention about the highway fund balance, because it has been historically low. If you look at those charts, we did have issues with building up the reserves in the highway department, and the last several years we've been trying to increase it year over year, and we are growing it. So we are at the largest we have been in probably, I have to say, 10 or 12 years.
Right. And as was mentioned earlier, we don't close the books for 2024 until the coming spring, so it was difficult to get a great projection for 2024 this year, so we didn't show that data here today. Okay. So moving on here, we have our 2025 budget summary of the tentative budget, and we're going to focus on the totals for the townwide funds, which is the bold line that you see kind of in the middle of the page. So the first column, you can see we have total townwide appropriations of $25.2 million. And we're estimating about $9.7 million in revenues to help offset some of those costs. And we're appropriating $370,000 in fund balance as well. So that leaves just a little over $15 million to be raised in property taxes for the town. If you keep going across that row, that next column shows the new rate per thousand at 2.64, which is a 3.4% decrease compared to the 2024 rate per thousand. And in a minute, I'll show you a slide with an example of how the changes in taxes, assessments, and the rate per thousand will affect an average homeowner.
So that's very
Put it in
telling.
perspective, yeah.
So that's very telling, as we hear many times, and all of us on the board know, we get phone calls when the assessment letters go out and the people's assessments go up and they say, well, our taxes are going to go up. This clearly shows that when your assessment goes up, and we do not raise your taxes, the tax rate goes down, because no matter what, we still have to collect a certain amount of money from the taxpayers, which is the tax levy. The only time your taxes go up is when the town board increases the levy, not when your assessment goes up. So it is clear to see, as the deputy controller said, and she'll explain more now, comparing 24 to 25, that as your assessment goes up and we don't raise your taxes, your tax rate goes down.
Yes, thank you. So lastly, before we move on, we'll just take a quick look at the special district totals, which is the next line. So you can see total appropriations of just under 7 million with estimated revenues of 4.4 million and appropriated fund balance of 690,000, which leaves about 1.9 million to be raised by taxes, which I believe is the same amount that was raised with the 2024 taxes for special districts. Right. So here we have the year-on-year comparison of an average property in the town of East Fishkill, which is the slide that I referenced earlier. If we look at the 2024 average property assessed at $400,000, you can see that with the 2024 tax rate of 2.73 per thousand, they would have paid about $1,092 in town taxes. So looking at the same average property in 2025, we see an increased assessment of $424,250, but we see a lower tax rate of 2.64, and the resulting tax bill is $1,120. So as Mr. Supervisor mentioned earlier, this homeowner would see about an increase of $28 on their 2025 tax bill compared to 2024. So this example is just helpful to see because it shows the effect of the 2025 taxes on an average homeowner in actual dollars, which can be a little easier to relate to for a lot of people. So here, this is where your property taxes go. So this gives you a big picture of how your taxes for the town are allocated. You can see the town piece here in light blue, which is what we've been focused on during this presentation so far. And as you can see, the county, which is in the light green there, receives a similar share to what you pay in town taxes. The fire district and library receive the smaller slivers that you see near the top of the pie chart. And lastly, as was mentioned earlier, in the medium blue that covers about 3/4 of the pie chart are your school taxes, which represent the largest percentage of your taxes. So it's just interesting to see that breakdown.
So as you can see from the pie chart, as we always discuss, the school taxes are the most, roughly 76% of your tax bill. Town, county, roughly 10, 12% each. So we run the entire town on roughly 10, 11% of your total tax bill. That's your police department, town hall, recreation, everything you see that we do is run on 11% of your total tax bill. So I think you get a good bang for your buck.
All right, so this slide shows how your town money, which was that little blue piece, is being spent. So you can see here that in the medium blue, about 1/3 of your town tax money goes to the highway department, maintaining roads, plowing during the winter, et cetera. Looking at the light green piece of the pie, there's also about 1/3 that goes to the police department, helping to keep residents safe. And that remaining 1/3 is made up of both culture and recreation and town hall and all the many services that they provide. So for recreation, that's maintaining your parks, camps, events, other activities, just to mention a few. And in town hall, we have the clerks, building, planning, zoning, and others that provide residents with permits, licenses, and other important services. So it's kind of interesting they all kind of even out to equal about 1/3 each, if you look at that.
And the recreation slice of the pie, I like to say, is the Bill Green slice of the pie.
So lastly, I just have a few budget notes, just additional items that we wanted to highlight. And this was mentioned earlier as well, but the New York State inflation calculation for the 2025 tax cap was 3.3%, and the allowable increase is the lesser of that, or 2%. And we're happy to say that the 2025 levy will be under the tax cap. So another interesting thing to note is related to our mortgage tax and our sales tax revenue, which are very significant revenue streams to the town. We've seen a downward trend in mortgage tax revenue since the big spike in 2021. Thankfully, conversely, we've seen an increase in sales tax revenue, which has helped to offset a lot of that loss in mortgage tax revenue.
So just a comment
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, it was a more difficult budget, as I mentioned before. Mortgage tax revenue has seen a severe decrease compared to several years before that, so it made it more difficult to balance this budget. We did see an increase in sales tax, thank goodness, but so everyone understands at home, without the special districts, it's a $25 million budget. What we raise from the levy, which is the tax dollars from you homeowners, is $15 million. So the other roughly $10 million we have to get from other revenue sources, mortgage tax, sales tax. So when those numbers are off significantly, that's when we're happy that we've built a significant stronghold of a fund balance, or the town savings account. So we're able to utilize that to offset increases or decreases in revenues and increases in spending. So I just want to explain to the public that 15 million of the 25 is produced by you, the taxpayers, and the rest are other revenue sources. So it's difficult to juggle those three entities.
Yes, thank you. So just another comment about revenue. So the building department is also a pretty significant revenue stream, and the town has seen a significant increase in revenue from the building department over the last few years. The revenue has roughly doubled since 2020, primarily due to an increase in activity at some of our industrial sites, which I know were mentioned earlier. Next, we just wanted to mention that the PBA contract expired on December 31st, 2023, and new terms are still being negotiated there. The CSEA contract expires at the end of this calendar year, and negotiations are currently underway for that. And finally, I just wanted to say that the town has done a great job at building up fund balance, as has been mentioned many times, and the importance of having that cushion and savings. And the town has done a great job of saving when possible, but also continuing to hire and fill vacancies as needed, so that residents can continue to receive the services that they want and need. So that's all I have for today, but I'm happy, if anybody wants to stop in or ask questions, especially during the week, we can get into details.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any comments from the board? Has everybody been delving into the budget?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I met with our comptroller, and I will say, looking at the historical fund balance, you can actually chart our comptroller's happiness from when, Councilman Marinaro, you and I got on the board in 2014. You can chart, and when we first got here, he was a little bit grumpy, and now he's, I wouldn't say he's giddy, but he's a heck of a lot happier. And I think a lot of that has to do with the stewardship, certainly from the supervisor.
Thank you.
And a lot of the work that you've done over the years in growing the fund balance and our commitment to the taxpayer, where we will always continue to look for ways to save, try to peek around the corner, look into the future on what we can do. And certainly, I would like to take a moment to thank all of our professionals, all the people that work in town hall, highway, police, especially all those who wear multiple hats, because you guys do a lot, and we appreciate it very much, and you help us ease the burden on the taxpayer by doing as much as you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Council.
I'm glad I've only known Happy Controller then, since I've been on the board.
You can really,
I haven't had to
That's the
experience.
deputy controller, she knows.
I agree with everything you said, and the supervisor, and I know that for all of us on the board, this is our biggest priority, this budget, going through the budget, making sure that we have a laser focus on increasing revenue through the work on economic development, managing expenses, as you said. You know, one of the things I always was told and believed in my corporate life was you manage your corporate budget like you do your own. And that's exactly what we all, I think, take very seriously here. We look at this town budget as carefully as if it was our own home budget. It's been entrusted to us by the taxpayers, and we owe them that. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you to all the department heads and all the town employees. This is a good budget. I know it's a lot of work. I went through line by line. I spent time with our controller going through, and he answered all my questions. So spent a lot of time going through it. It's one of the things that I would like to see us focus on, and it's one of our largest expense categories, is personnel. When you look at salary, benefits, and retirement. And one thing I have learned is just how hard the town employees work, every one of them so dedicated, they work so hard, and I'd like to continue to challenge our departments and everybody in the town to do whatever we can, and I think all of us are committed as well, how we can use automation, how we can use technology, and even AI to be as efficient as possible with the operations and to make sure that we're running this town as efficiently as we could. But this is a very good budget that's been put together.
Thank you, Council.
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank the town supervisor and all the officials and the comptroller for working on this budget very diligently. It is a sound budget. We're still having discussions going on, and I will be meeting with the comptroller to see if there is any additional improvements to be made on the budget, and then I will talk with the town supervisor. But one thing that we have to say, we come a long way, like the councilman said before, and I believe that this is all due to the fact that we have, through the years, taken upon ourselves the responsibility of improving the way we do business with the various departments. I have to admit that when we first started on this position, some stuff was not looked at properly. I have to be assure the community that the fact that this town board, many of us come from the private, has given us really a great opportunity to look at things and really put our personal feelings into it and say, you know, there is improvement to be made. And just some stuff that we worked on, managing the staff in town hall, few adjustments in different departments have really resulted in big savings for the taxpayers. The way business was conducted at the highway department also, as through the years of working together with the personnel and the various staff members, resulted in a lot of savings. We put in place things to upgrade the equipment, maintain the equipment. This is very, very expensive equipment, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we want to make sure that the money that we spend is something that it's going to last through the years of service to the community. And again, by doing all this, we have been able to increase our fund balance through the years. This is something nobody came to us and donated to the town. It's something that through the years we all, with our knowledge and efforts, have been able to do. And again, this is a big savings for the taxpayers. One last thing, like the town supervisor mentioned before, is the industrial part of growing that area of the community. Even though people don't see it, your bank account will feel it. You're going to be saving a lot more money. Again, a lot of that money goes to the schools, and I'm going to say it again. If the school only really did what we on this town board do, you guys will be receiving money back every year rather than giving to your local taxes. Unfortunately, we have no control over that. We have control over part of the budget, and we'll do the best thing we can. So again, thank you to everybody, and if you have any comments, you'll have an opportunity to come forward, I believe, at the next town board meeting and express your opinions. And I hope you do. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, our next, the budget public hearing is at our next town board meeting, which is October 24, 2024, of course, and it will be right here at Town Hall, 6 p.m. Just a couple notes that the Deputy Comptroller mentioned about union negotiations. So we have been about almost 1 year out of contract with the police department. We are currently engaged in negotiations with them. Also, we have started negotiations with CSEA, which is the rest of the town employees union, and that's a question mark for us. It's a question mark in this budget and what the budget will look like next year when we finally do sign a contract with them. So we have earmarked some dollars for what we believe will be increases, but we don't know what they will be. So please keep that in mind as we move forward. Obviously, I'll keep everybody updated, but that's always a question mark. And personnel, that makes up the largest part of the budget, right? That's why we try to think out of the box. The town board was very generous in approving 2 full-time floaters, we call them, right? Employees that work in different departments, shared department employees. What we try to do is have somebody who's multitasking in different departments in the time frame that's the most busiest in a certain department, and then move on to the other department that's busy when they get slow. So hopefully these employees who are like a, how should I say, a utility player on your baseball team will be beneficial. I know some town employees and department heads haven't been the happiest, but it's a change. It's something different, and it's ways that we have to try to think out of the box. And I think if it's successful, it will be a home run for all of us, especially for the budget. So. I thank all the employees for all they do, all the department heads. They all work very hard. I'm very fortunate to have such dedicated employees, and I'm looking forward to the next year because it's going to be another good year.
And just to say a couple more things regarding the last aspect as far as sharing employees at Town Hall, that is such an important aspect. What we are trying to do with the town supervisor implementing these floaters is that they rotate in different departments. And so if somebody needs time off due to an illness or extended vacation, that department still is able to run because we have the ability to move these employees in certain areas. I know talking sometimes to other officials in different towns, sometimes they shut down an office because they don't have anybody to take care of that. We have never done this in this town hall, and
Well, that's also
one of
because
the
a few
greatest
years
aspects.
ago, I think it was right around COVID, where we had the fewest amount of town employees working here, and we were able to still do everything.
Right.
Because they were wearing multiple hats.
Yep.
And there's still, there are some that are still doing that.
Yeah, everybody says the engineer wears multiple hats too. I had to get a smile out of them. But, okay, like I said, our next town board meeting is October 24th, 6 PM will be our budget public hearing, so please make sure you come out or make sure you call us if you have any questions. The budget is on the website, please look into it as much, and if you have questions, please call my office anytime. 221-4303. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned, thank you.
You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was raised here in this living hell. You don't know my kind in your world. Fairly soon, the time